What would you do if you knew that today would be the very last day of your life? Well, Night Fam, you're about to find out exactly what it's like. This is what happens to convicts in their final 24 hours on death row. It starts with the very last visit from a prison guard. He enters the cell to tell them it's time. He searches their entire body to make sure they don't have any weapon to either hurt anyone or take their own life before they do. Then the guard takes the convict to the van that will bring them to a house. Unfortunately, not their family house, but what they call the death house. While on their way, they see daylight for the very last time. They look at the sun for the very last time.
The sun is so beautiful today.
Until they arrive at the death house, in a private cell complete with bed, desk, shower, and toilet. A lot more decent and cleaner than their old cell. The convict gets a set of proper clothes in exchange for the prison attire they wore for years. But these small joys would slowly turn into a nightmare. Because next to this cell is the place where they're bound to die, the execution chamber. They are now left contemplating how they ended up having less than a day to be alive. They are about to have not just the last, but also the longest night of their life. I can't sleep. And after only an hour of sleep, they wake up to the creaking sound of their cell door opening. They rush to the door as soon as they see their last visitors, the people who love them the most. The convict looks at their partner and gives them their last smile. Compared to all the other smiles they gave them their whole lives, this has to be the most painful one.
I love you so much.
After talking to their family, they are also given a chance to call anyone. But only the guard is allowed to dial the numbers listed for their final goodbyes.
I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for me and my family.
Come 8 a.m., the convict will be alone. This time, the only person they're allowed to talk to is the chaplain for their final confessions and to help them face their final hours.
I regret everything I've done wrong.
While all these are happening, in the very next room are prison staff checking on the death chair to make sure it will work as intended. Their goal today is to succeed in taking the prisoner's life. They cannot afford to fail. The convict writes down their last goodbyes. Many finally reflect on their life and the moment they have looked forward to, the last meal request. But right now, they're realizing that this is actually the saddest meal they will ever have. Because the truth is, in our researched prison, criminals are not allowed any fancy meals at all. The last meal has to fit the prison's $20 budget. Then, while the death house chef prepares the modest request of fried chicken with fries and ice cream, the convict takes their final 15-minute shower in private. They then wear the final clothes they will die in, with diapers strapped in. Yes, diapers. To allow them to die with dignity in case they get tense facing the moment of truth. Right in front of the execution chamber is a room where witnesses start to arrive. Relatives, group of state representatives, even media. By this time, the convict is getting all their hair shaved as the final preparation. 5 guards walk them into the execution chamber. So many footsteps, but they can only hear their own. Because their own footsteps are like the sound of a ticking clock. They enter the execution room and only see one thing in the middle of the dark. The very chair that will take their life in just a few minutes. One by one, the guards strap them in every body part, making sure that they don't move. The room is filled with complete silence. Witnesses can see the convict through the glass wall, but the convict cannot see them back. Instead, they stare blankly, contemplating how everything will feel and thinking why it must come to this end. Until, finally, the convict now has the time to say their final words.
Sorry.
As one of the staff slowly pushes that one button. After all the hours of silence, the convict screams as their body shakes. Like a miracle, they suddenly see their partner and son through the glass wall, breaking down in tears. Until finally they can no longer see and feel anything, because their time is up.